Hi, happy Tuesday, besties and bosses. I'm so excited. We are winning today. We have technology working. The app let me update and we can have a not sideways screen. So even if we get nothing else today, I feel like that is a check in the win box and I'm very excited about this. How are you all doing? How is everyone's week going? I feel like I'm really enjoying life right now. I don't know how it is for everyone else. I realize everyone has such a different experience with COVID, but as many of you know, I live in New York City and we were downtown in Manhattan when COVID first hit and kind of in the epicenter, and we're in Brooklyn now in Dumbo, but the city feels like it's back to life a little bit. It feels open, and I have just been enjoying life so much and getting to like enjoy the city for what it is. I mean, I'm always enjoying life. I'm a pretty darn happy and content person, but I feel like having the world a little more open just allows you to enjoy the city. And many of the reasons I moved here in the first place, we went to a beautiful art show, the Armory, which is a New York's kind of art fair art show on Friday with a friend who's a galleryist, which was just really lovely. I got to meet one of the artists. We had like an hour-long conversation, and if you know me, I'm such a feeling person. I'm such an art person. I just love seeing people in their genius, and he was sharing about the meaning behind his work, and I full on started crying. So that's an insight into my world. So Friday night I cried at an art gallery meeting an artist, and we went to a really lovely dinner. And then my husband and I took my stepson to his first concert ever on Saturday. We took him to Van Morrison and saw Van Morrison and Tom Jones. So just things that I feel like we were so strict with lockdown and everything. So still wearing masks, still doing the thing, but enjoying that. And tonight I'm going to a hip hop class. I'm taking beginner hip hop class. Anyone else, let me know if you're a dancer. I cannot promise that I will be any good, but we're gonna embrace being a beginner and a beginner's mindset and just enjoy putting ourselves outside of our comfort zone. I'm saying ourselves, it's just me doing that. Catherine says, I love it when art moves me. Isn't it the best? I'm so with you. Art is, I mean, ex-actress brain, artist brain. I love artists. I think as entrepreneurs, we're artists as well, and we're creatives as well. We have a creative mind, but art in terms of art form is, yeah, just moving. And the people who, Catherine, I want to know, and anyone watching on the replay, if you like art, and then I promise we'll get into our topic, but I'm a chatty Cathy because I just had my coffee as well today. Do you love the art or the artist and hearing about the art more? I'm curious because I was thinking about this after speaking with the artist and learning more about his work and the meaning behind the work. I was trying to discern what's more exciting to me. What do I love more, the actual piece or the person, and hearing that? Because that almost moved me more than the art itself, though I loved both. Hey Marie, nice to have you here. Anyway, love to know from everyone, but let's dive into this week's topic. As a reminder, we always do a giveaway. If you leave a comment like Catherine and Marie did, you will be entered to win. This week, we're giving away a copy of Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout, which is my 6-week sales course. It is excellent. It walks you through the clarity, mindset, strategy, and action of building your own sales process in a heart-centered and service-driven way so you can sell more without the ick. So leave a comment and you will be entered. We will pick winners on Thursday, and each week we have a different giveaway. Usually one of my self-study programs and courses. Catherine says, it's usually the piece. I feel that as well. I mean, that makes the most sense. I think this was just one of those probably extra moving when you hear all the meaning behind the pieces. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to bring in people who can't wait to tell you why they need to hire you. So big, long mouthful of a topic, but I really want to talk about how to set up very intentionally, yes, your mindset, but your strategy and your marketing and your sales process so that you can attract clients who literally tell you and sell you on you and sell you on your offers and tell you why they need to hire you and tell you why they need to pay you and tell you why your prices are amazing and why you're the person they need to pay money to. The reason this topic is coming up is I feel very, very humbled. I'm clearly a very emotional person because this brought me to tears as well, but I feel very humbled in my business and working with such incredible clients. Every single one of my clients is what I consider a 10 client in terms of their 10 level fit, and just people I adore working with and love supporting and having the honor to support. It really is such an honor to get to do the work I do and work with the people I do. And I've been really blessed recently having so many conversations with new clients as they're coming through the door and being on calls where someone has sold me on why they should work with me, or come onto the call and told me that they're already ready to hire me and tell me why that is the case, or already come onto the call telling me what my program is and why they're ready to pay me, why they're ready to invest in my services, or why my rates are so great and I had actually one person convince me on why they should hire me because I was asking them about the fit. And this is such a gift, and I am so blessed and I am so humbled. And I was thinking about what made that happen? Why is that possible? Because I think there's some lessons in that. And I think there's some things we can glean from that we can all intentionally put into our marketing, put into what we're doing, what we're putting out into the world to have more of those situations. Now, as we dive into this, a couple things. We're going to dive into the mindset behind that. And we're also going to dive into some very practical strategy. I have, I guess, two main core strategy pieces that I want to play with around this. However, before we dive into this is a little bit of the mindset piece. What feels really important to say here is I want you to be mindful as you're listening to this, to not listen to this as a way to make yourself wrong, to think that sales is all about having people sell you on your offers, or to use this as an excuse to kind of sit around and wait until people come and tell you why they should hire you. That is not what this conversation is about at all. If this isn't your experience, I want to give some context here. I've been in business for 6.5 years. I've been showing up daily with content. I've been building relationships with people. Some of my clients I've been building relationships with for years before they hire me, or I mean, many of my clients work with me for years. Just move this back a little bit, it's right in my face. So I really want to give that context there because I think otherwise this becomes a conversation that isn't very valuable to you and how you can apply this to your business. So this also doesn't mean this has to take years to have that happen, but don't allow this example, because I think that's unfortunate in our space. Sometimes we will share wins, or we'll share something to be excited about, or we'll share an example of what's possible, and sometimes we don't have the opportunity to give the context there. And then on the receiving end, and I know because I hear this through clients all the time, it's very easy then to make yourself wrong. So that's not what this is about at all. And we also really want to be mindful when we're looking at marketing, when we're looking at sales, that yes, it is so amazing when you have someone say to you, hey, this is why I am ready to hire you. This is why you are the right person for me. This is why I want to give you money. This is why your rates are so great. This is what your program is about and why you're the specific person I want to work with. Abso-freaking-lutely, that is the goal. That is the dream. Like, all the praise hands for that. And we have to remember, on the service provider side, on the marketing side, on the sales side, which all of us as business owners, I assume many of you are service providers, but even if you don't offer a service, let's say you sell a product, we're all marketers and salespeople, whether we want to use that label or not. I think we have to remember, really our job when we're selling and when we're marketing is first to be sold on ourselves, right? Not to wait for someone to come around and tell us why they're so sold on us. And it's really, I find, challenging. It's very unlikely you're going to have a lot of people popping on calls with you, selling you on you and why they want to hire you and pay you if you're not first sold on you and your offers. And remembering that our job, first and foremost, is to do the marketing, is to do the selling. That is our job, and that's what also allows someone then to sell you on you and your offers and services. Let me know if that's connecting and landing, because I want to make sure that this conversation is not one where it's like, now we're like, okay, I'm waiting for people who are going to tell me why they need to hire me, which means I'm just going to either sit back and wait around until that happens, because that's not what marketing and sales is, with all the love in the world, or that I'm going to sit here and meditate around like why this is going to happen and like have affirmations around that. Not what we're talking about either. Or that I'm going to use this as a way to make myself wrong, or to say if that's not happening, I should be sold on my offers. Not at all what we're talking about. I will say the first piece here, and this isn't the strategy piece, but just something to play with, and something that I have really done a lot of mindset work around and really spent a lot of time cultivating in myself. And I think what is sort of like the first step before the strategy here to allow for people to hop on the phone with you and tell you why they can't wait to hire you was first really getting into the belief and so bought in and so sold on my work and my offers myself, and getting so clear myself why it would be so exciting for someone, like why my offers are so great, and not from an egotistical way, but just really getting clear and sold on my work and on my offers and being really locked in on that. And I reflect that because I think when I think back to my first year in business, I don't think at all, I think I had confidence in my coaching work, but I don't think I was super sold on myself and on my services and my offers. And I do think, if I'm honest, my first year in business, I call that my circle bus phase, I really do think I was hoping that other people would validate me and that I could get my validation through clients, through other people. I think there was a lot of, yes, there was a kernel of confidence, and I'm always telling clients that our confidence comes through action. It's the gift on the other side of action. So I do not think confidence is a prerequisite for you in business to book clients to make money. Not at all. And I do think, hold on one second. My cat is about to jump through my ring light like a circus animal. Let me just move her. Nala says hi. Say hi, Nala. She's hungry for dinner, so she's gonna be jumping all around our live stream today. This is how you know we're live. I have a ring light here, and she's like trying to jump through it. Anyway, going back to my first year in business there, and going back to confidence. Confidence is not a prerequisite to make money to book clients. I think yes, part of sales is being really confident sold on your work and on your offers. And I think we have to be more confident in the person we're selling to. I think that's something I talk so much about in Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout. That is something I support clients around. I think it's challenging when we're looking to the person we're selling to give us our confidence, or when we're not really sold in our offer. We're like, I hope this person convinces me that I'm good enough to help them or to support them or to take their money or to be able to receive this much money, or that I hope they'll tell me, right? Like if internally we're hoping that someone else is going to give that to us, that becomes a tougher sell. And I do think that's going to then that puts a lot of responsibility on a potential client. And I honestly think it's a lot of responsibility that isn't really fair to a potential client. If you put yourself into the buyer's shoes, into the potential client's shoes, if you put yourself in that shoes when if you've made an investment or been thinking about making an investment, there's a lot already in that decision-making process. There's a lot that comes up for us in terms of wanting to feel safe and making large investments and handing over large sums of money, putting ourselves at risk, right? Having to show up for an investment. There's a lot that can come up. And just think of how much added pressure that is on you if you're also being asked to have the confidence to sell someone on why they're good enough, or why they are the person that you should work with, or why they are worthy of the rates that they're charging, right? Can you see how that's a lot to ask of a potential client? So yes, while we're talking about what is the mindset, what is the strategy that sets your business and your sales process up in a way that has people sell you on you and tell you why you're the one they want to hire, and why essentially get on a call and say, hey, I'm ready to buy from you. While that is what we're talking about, I want us to see that the first step there is seeing that we need to not expect that of someone. We need to not put that expectation or pressure on our audience or on our potential clients, because that really has a role reversal. And that's really, really unfair. And I think that doesn't create the safest container for sales to happen. Let me know if that's making sense, or if you have any questions, because I want to get into some of the strategy pieces, but I do think that's such an important piece. And I think when we hear things like this, just because I know I hear this from clients so much, and I just remember my first year in business, where I really do think there is this way in which we're looking for validation from the outside in instead of the inside out. And yes, your confidence will come through action. Your confidence will be a gift the more you sell, the more you do your work, the more you make offers, the more you're making money in your business, the more your confidence will grow as a byproduct. It is not a prerequisite to sell or to have people sell you on you. And we really do want to think about how you can be more bought in, more confident in what it is you're offering, more confident in your rates than the person you're selling to. So hopefully that distinction makes sense. Not a prerequisite, and also something we really do want to cultivate for ourselves. Let me pull up my notes, because I did pull up a couple notes here. So I'm going to actually chat strategy a little bit first, and then we'll go back to some other mindset pieces here, because I think some of the strategy is actually, I think it's mindset related as well. So there's two core strategy pieces here. When I was kind of looking back and thinking, okay, what allowed this to happen? And again, I do think some of this is simply, I've been in business for 6.5 years, and I have been cultivating relationships and sharing content for that long. And I don't want to diminish that, especially just so that no one's making themselves wrong. And I think there's two pieces here strategically that I've been really, really intentional about from day one. So the first one's going to sound overly simple, and hopefully it's going to sound very permission giving and give everyone here, because I think this is something most people here in this group do really well. And I've had it reflected to me how rare this is in our space. So if you're here, I know you are one of those rare people, but that is essentially really giving a fuck, really caring about your people, really caring about the person in front of you, really caring about the quality of your work and the experience someone's having in your marketing, in your sales process, and in your containers, whatever that is you sell and serve, and really caring about the outcomes for your clients. Now, I keep wanting to give distinctions here. Caring a lot, giving F's, right, about your people, caring about your marketing, caring about your sales process, caring about your clients, caring about their experience in the container, caring about the results they get is very different than caretaking and taking on responsibility that isn't yours. Those are two very, very different things. And we talk about that in this group a lot. And it's something I talk about with clients about quite a bit. And I think we want to look at how can we hold both to be true. This is definitely an opportunity to play with that duality of how can we really see that caring and giving a fuck is absolutely a strategy. And it is a strategy that, quite frankly, a lot of people in our space are not using. And there's a lot of people, I don't think in this group, but I think there's a lot of people who are looking a lot more at how can I make money as quickly as possible? What's the quickest way to money? What's the model to making more money? What's the way that helps me scale? What's the way to my lifestyle? What's the way that I can scale out of this model as quickly as possible so that I can make more money? What is, insert that, and that is okay. I don't want to make that wrong. That does not mean those people have bad offers or bad products or bad services, but that tends to be more caring about their results, more caring about their money, more caring about their lifestyle, not caring about the person that is going to go through their programs or services. Catherine says, I had never thought about it like that. Be curious which part you mean, but maybe the distinction between caring versus caretaking, I think is probably what you mean. And I think just seeing if you are someone who chooses to care and to care deeply about the people in front of you who are experiencing your marketing, who are experiencing your sales process, even if they don't hire you, and to really care about the people in your containers. Again, most people in this group are service providers, so I say containers, but you might also have products. So then I would say care about the people who are using your products and about their experience within your container and their results. That puts you miles ahead of so many people in our industry and so many people who come into the online space really looking to chase a dollar or to chase a lifestyle or to escape a corporate job they hate. And I mean, you can escape a corporate job you hate and care about your people, but I think there's a difference when it's that bothness versus that's really the driving factor. When your focus is, I sell things and I walk people through a sales process and I make offers because I care so much about this person in front of me getting the most out of this, and I care so much about them having a great experience and seeing if this is a fit and seeing that they get the best outcome that's possible for them. Think of how different that is than so much of the space, and think of how much that translates for the person on the other side and has them then want to sell you on you, and why you're different from other people in the industry and why you're someone they might feel safe handing their money over to, right? I'm sure we can see the difference there. And again, what we want to keep coming back to is noticing you can care so much, and your job as a caring, heart-centered person, which I know most people in this group are, I think that's kind of, if you're attracted to my work, my guess is, we talked about at the beginning of this live stream, I cried like 3 different times because I care so much about things. My guess is you're that way, even if you're not crying all the time as well. Just seeing how there is such a difference between caring and then really holding that boundary around not caretaking. That's when we get into unhealthy client, customer, relationships with the service provider. That's when we get into, I don't want to label things as codependent, but that's, I think, when we get into those unhealthy dynamics. That's when we also start to take on personal responsibility and we can take people's power away unintentionally. So just seeing how we can hold both of those as true and seeing that as a strategy that absolutely attracts people who want to tell you why they want to hire you. Catherine says, yes, caring versus caretaking. I'm so glad that landed as a distinction. It's, I think, such a great way for us to hold that, because I think when I encourage clients to notice where they're caretaking and to see where can we give some of the responsibility back to our clients, and I really see giving responsibility back to people as empowering the people in front of us. I think about this in our sales process, right? When we're having a sales conversation with someone, how can we give power back to the person in front of us to help them make that decision? How can we care without caretaking? I see that as caring without caretaking. When we unintentionally take that responsibility away, we're unintentionally taking someone's power away, we think we're being caring, but I think it can be unintentionally disempowering the person in front of us. So that is that distinction there. And you can see how that becomes a strategy, and that becomes a strategy that really has you stand out from others. And I know that this is a strategy that has you stand out from others because I've had people reflect this to me on calls and say, I can tell you care, and that's so rare, and I can tell you genuinely care about me, and I can tell you genuinely care about your clients, and I can tell you genuinely care about my outcome, again, without being caretaking in an unhealthy way. And that's why I'm on the call with you. That's why I know I want to hire you. That's why I kind of don't need to hear anything else. That's why I know I'm ready to invest through you, through your services. I literally just had this conversation with someone a couple weeks ago. And so I'm reflecting this to you here as evidence, because I think sometimes we're also in a space that is very noisy, and that is very noisy about marketing tactics and what you need to do to be able to like hit the 10K or the 100K months, whatever that is that you want. And hey, I'm all for the money. We love money over here. And I think sometimes we can hear all of that noise and think we have to become dancing monkeys or do all of these different things, all of these different tactics to bring in clients. And what I want to help you see here and to be a form of evidence is to see you can be very caring. You can take a strategy like care deeply, give a fuck, be an emotional person that really cares about your work and your people and helping people get into containers that are going to be the best fit for them and really support them to the results they want. And see, that can be the kind of strategy that not only sells and not only allows you to make those same income months that you're hearing people talk about, or that you're hearing some other like tactic will allow you to do, but actually create a lot more ease in your business where people are literally selling you on you and telling you why they want to hire you. Hey Vanessa, nice to have you here. Let me know if anyone has a question around that. And anyone hopping on live, just a reminder, if you say hi, leave a question, leave an emoji, any of those will get you entered to win. We're giving away one copy of Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout, my 6-week self-study sales course, which I think is pretty darn good. Okay, so really seeing that as a strategy and not as fluffy or not as woo or not as too sensitive or not as, oh my gosh, if I care too much, if I show people I care too much, I'm not gonna be playing hard to get and then no one's ever going to hire me. I think we hear this so much in the dating world. I was also just talking about this with a client. And I hear this from clients so much about what they've been taught with sales, where it's almost like, you know, in dating, people talk about like, play it cool, play games, play hard to get, and that's how you're gonna get your person, which I find it so fascinating if we even hear the language there, like who wants to get a person in the dating world? I love my husband who just walked in the other room. We've been together 8 years. We've been married for a year, but I will tell you, he did not play games. I did not play games. And if either one of us had, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't still be together. And I think if we're looking at sales and we're looking at relationships, especially for those of you who are service providers, where most likely what you're selling and what you're offering is going to be very relationship based, and that you're probably going to work with someone for a moment of time. It's not just, you know, handing them over something, handing them a product and never seeing them again. Even if you're selling products, promise you there's still a lot of relationship based there in your marketing and sales. But we can see there, if we stop thinking about these as transactions and playing games, and we start to see how like where does playing hard to get, where does not caring, where does like playing it so cool ever really work in business? I mean, I can't think of anything I've invested a large sum of money in, or even a small sum of money in, where I'm like, oh, I totally bought that. I totally invested that because they just played games with me and they acted like they didn't care and they acted like I didn't matter and they acted like I was just a number. Right? Like if you think about it from the other side, can anyone think about where they're like, yes, I couldn't wait to buy something. I couldn't wait to tell someone why they should take my money because they made me feel like crap, or they made me feel like I wasn't important, or like they didn't care. Right? Like, no, like that's just not really a thing. And so of course we can see, of course it makes sense. Then it is a strategy to stop thinking you have to play it cool and to see really caring, especially since I'm guessing everyone here already does care, and utilizing that as a part of your strategy and looking for ways to demonstrate that can really support you in not only your sales process, but having people see that you are different and want to tell you why they want to hire you. And so this is, I guess, a bit of a mindset, but I think this is a mindset in terms of you don't have to play hard to get or play it cool. But I think in terms of the strategy here, what I would invite everyone to think about is if you do genuinely care, if you are someone who cares, which I'm guessing you do, if you care about your audience, if you care about your marketing, your sales process and the containers and the clients who are going through them, I would invite you to think about how can you demonstrate that? How can you allow people to know that? How can you make that very clear? Are there places maybe you're playing it cool? Are there places maybe you're thinking, I need to play potentially a little hard to get, metaphorically speaking? Are there places maybe you're pulling back a little bit because you think you're supposed to like it's almost like cool if you seem like you don't need it? And where are the opportunities to show you care, to show you give a fuck? Because I think there's one thing to have that energetically, which I do think people feel. I absolutely think people can tell the difference. And I think strategically in your actual marketing, in your actual sales conversations, in what you're actually putting out in the world, very practically, I think you can look for those opportunities to let people know you care. I don't even think this was something I realized I was doing until I broke this down for our live stream. But I'm sure if you went back and watched most of my lives where I talk about clients, I probably talk about how much I care about them. I probably talk about how much I love them. I probably talk about how much I love this work. I mean, I think you can even just see in my marketing, this is something I'm reflecting quite often. And I talk about how important it is to me to come from a place of integrity. So I think you can see those are little places where I'm helping people to understand this truth that is also an energetic mindset truth for me in terms of caring and giving a fuck. All right, I think that makes sense. I don't have any questions, but if you do have a question or just how to practically apply that, let me know. Also just realizing I painted my nails today and I did not do the best job of it. All right, we're just laughing today. Okay, let's go to the other strategy piece here I want to speak to, and then I'll talk last about one more mindset piece. So the other strategy here is really looking at your marketing and sales and what you're communicating in your marketing and sales if you want to have people tell you why you're the person they want to hire. If you want to have someone sell you on you, I think we can look back to where are you starting your relationships, how are you building relationships, and what are you teaching people you want to know about you, your work, and your offers. Something I tell my clients a lot that I'll reflect here that I think we so often forget is people really pick up what you put down. People are listening, people are paying attention. I know so often when we're sharing content, especially if you have a lot of silent engagers, and I know a lot of my content has silent engagers. I just have the gift of having been in business long enough to have people book calls with me to find out they've been silently engaging with my content for years. So I just have that evidence there to know the majority of people who hire me have never engaged with my content visibly, but they are engaging silently. I really think there's two different kinds of engagement there. And sometimes I think the silent engagement can actually be the most powerful because that's usually when someone's absorbing something, right? They're reading through a post, they're really taking it in as opposed to just kind of liking and leaving engagement for the sake of engagement. That's a whole other live stream, but when we are having people engage with our content, when we're building those relationships, I think we forget or we get so wrapped up and worried about, oh my gosh, I'm hearing crickets, no one's paying attention to my content. And instead, what I really want to invite you to start thinking about is what if people are paying attention to your content? And what if people are picking up what you're putting down? How can you intentionally teach people what you want them to know about you and your work? And so there's 3 different ways I think about this, and that I think you can really intentionally cultivate relationships with people where they're going to then sell you on your offers. So the first piece, I think this is just the obvious kind of content, but it's worth reflecting, is value-based content. And when I say value-based content, I mean content that is actually giving people value, that is helping them understand what it is you do, that doesn't have to be, here's a how-to with 3 steps, but that is giving someone something they can take away that's really helping them understand what you do, how you do what you do. We could say position you as an expert, but that is giving someone a nugget they can take away. So I think there are different forms of content. There are different ways of getting visible. All the content is beautiful, but if we're looking at, I want to teach people what I want them to know about me, and I want to have people silently or visibly engage with my content in a way where they're picking up what I want them to put down. And I really want to start to cultivate relationships with people that when they land on my sales page, when they book a call with me, when they have a sales conversation with me, they're already bought in, they're already a yes. They're going to tell me when they get on the phone, I already know this is a hell yes for me. It's just like the practical thing we need to go through. One of the ways to do this is to pour out and to share so much value. And I'm not talking about overgiving, we're not talking about burning out, but to really teach people through your content what your work is all about. So that isn't a question mark they need answered in a sales conversation. Now look, there's nothing wrong if someone needs to learn that in a sales conversation. Someone I've had people land on my content today. They know nothing about me. They book a call. We have that conversation, right? Not everyone is selling me on a sales conversation. That would be a little absurd. So we're not negating the other side of the process, but I really think one of the reasons people are getting on the phone with me at this point and doing that is I have enough value-driven content out there that really helps someone understand what my work is about, what my thought process around my work is about, that's given people true value and often transformations before they've even got on the call with me or help people get real results. We had someone on a live stream recently say they attended one of the master classes, applied that helped them book a client. I've had people take the sales course that we're giving away this week and say that they've used that to sell out, book out their business. I've had people tell me they've implemented everything from my live streams and to hit, their first 10K month. So I think when you can see, and this is not to put pressure on anyone's content, but I think when you can see if you're putting out what you want people to really understand there, that does so much to, if you're then also caring and giving a fuck, right? You can see how these are super practical things. These are things everyone knows, but you can see how this then starts to create the kind of relationships where people start to get on a call with you and tell you why they want to hire you. So 2 other pieces of the content here, but let me know if you have a question about that. I think that's relatively clear, and I think this is something most people know, but I think we almost discount the power of content sometimes. I know because I hear this from clients a lot. I think we either think people aren't paying attention to content, or it's sort of like, does content really work? Does it actually, can that actually really work for you? I think sometimes we feel like it's really noisy online, and so I just want to reflect here. Let me again be evidence for you. It absolutely works. We just had a 40K cash month, and I've never spent a penny on dimes. My whole business is built through content marketing, relationship-based marketing, right? So I think, and I only offer one-on-one, so it's not like I'm having big launches where it's anything like that. So I think just use that as evidence. And I've been sharing content every day for 6.5 years. So I think just seeing that's the secret sauce right there. It's not so secret. And I let that be evidence. And I just see it through clients over and over again. When I share a client win, I'm like, hey, they just had a 20K month. You better believe most of those clients are showing up and sharing the kind of content that is value driven that we're talking about here. Now, caveat, we're gonna have a live stream in a couple weeks. I do have some clients who don't like to create content, who don't create a ton of content and have gotten booked out. So I don't want that to be a thing where it's like you have to, but I find what we're talking about here, if we want people to get on the phone with you, telling you why they want to hire you, the content is really valuable. You can absolutely book out your business without content. And if we want people to sell you on you, the content part helps a lot. Okay, so the next part in your content that I find really helpful if you want to particularly attract people who are selling you on you and telling you why they want to hire you is to create content that is really speaking to your values. This is a little bit what we were talking about in terms of the giving a fuck or caring part, but to really create content based around your values and what's really important to you in terms of your work. And I consider this thought leadership content, and I think this is a little different than value-driven content. I think there's absolutely value in this, but this is a lot more helping someone to get to know you and why you, and not just what you bring to the table in terms of your expertise, but the way you think about it and what your values are and what you bring as a human to your containers and to your work. And I think what you bring as a human to your containers and to your work, to your service, is often different or can have some different nuances than simply what the service you deliver is. So for example, I have a client who's an OBM. She is brilliant. She is wonderful. There are many people who are OBMs, but she is really great at having people get on the phone with her and they are already a hell yes. They sell her on her. They tell her why they want to hire her specifically, not why they just want to hire any old OBM. I don't even want to use the word old, but right, why her specifically? That's what we're talking about here, right? Like it's great. I'm so grateful if someone books a call with me because they're looking for a coach and they're considering me as a coach, but that is very different than when someone books a call with me because they're considering hiring me as the coach, right? Because they're sold on me as the coach. So with this client as an example, she's a brilliant OBM. When she books calls with people, more often than not, they are sold on her as an OBM, not the concept, not just looking for an OBM and having like her as one of the, even if they're having multiple calls, it's usually because they want to work with her specifically. One of the things we've worked on and one of the things she does really well is, yes, having some value-based content, And particularly for her audience, if someone's hiring an OBM, a lot of them aren't looking necessarily for content on like how-tos and things like that, right? A lot of her content is also helping people to know more about her as a human and what she brings to the table as a human, as an OBM, as a service provider, why her, what her values are, what she cares about, how she thinks about business, how she thinks about things, right? One of the reasons I love my OBM, since we're going with the OBM quality, she's brilliant at what she does. Shout out to Katrina. She's super brilliant. She's excellent as an OBM, but I also really value her as an OBM, what her values are, what she brings to the table as a human, how she thinks about business. And before we first had our conversation, before I brought her on board, I stalked her content a little bit. And one of the things I appreciated in her content is she had a lot of content that really helped me understand her values and her thought process behind her work. So I'm hoping this is clicking for everyone, but I think really seeing how can you start to articulate and not just share the value-based content, like here, I'm sharing some value-based content with you through this live stream, but I also want to make sure I'm helping you know my thought, how I think about business, how I think about my work, who I am as a human, because if you're going to work with me, whether it's in a coaching intensive or a VIP day, if you're going to spend a weekend with me at our new VIP day at Soho House, or if you're going to spend 6 months minimum, knowing that most of my clients renew and work with me for years, right? It's not just, am I a good coach or not? It's not just, do I know business and do I know how to help you build, grow, and scale your business? Of course, that's important, but that's almost the baseline, right? If you're going to get on the phone with me and say, this is why I'm sold on you, this is why I want to tell you you're the person I want to hire, it kind of has to go past those basics. It has to go a little bit further into why me specifically as a human, especially if we're going to spend that much time together. I always think about them like, fit for me, I think there's such a thing as coaching chemistry. I think it's the same thing with OBM, business owner. If you're a designer, I think everything for us as service providers, I think there is a chemistry with our clients, and chemistry, I don't know why I'm doing it in air quotes, it's chemistry with humans, and I think that's part of the fit dynamic, and I think that is as important for fit as some of the basics of, do you know how to help someone solve the problem they're bringing to the table and help them create the desired outcome? Of course, that's sort of like baseline that we need. And if we're looking at how do we create potential clients who are telling you why they want to hire you, and really great experiences in our business where we're getting onto live stream saying we love every single person that we work with and that they're a level 10 in terms of fit. What we have to also look at is that chemistry piece, and the way we can start to screen for that, and the way we can start to help people understand that and teach them what we want to know about us and our work is by sharing some of those values, by sharing more of who we are as humans, and sharing some of those pieces, those nuances around how we think about our work, how we think about business, how we think about the service we provide. Is that connecting? Does anyone have a question around that? I hope that makes sense, and I think this sometimes is a piece where it can get a little confusing, especially when we hear share value, share value, share value, share more value, share value before you sell. I think we forget that this is valuable as well, and it's all relationship building at the end of the day. This is such a side note, but it's coming up, and I think it might just be helpful for someone to hear. Many of you know I spent 10 years doing the acting thing in Los Angeles, and there are a couple jobs I booked, and the reason I booked them, I think, had nothing to do with my talent. I think I'm good at what I do, but these were auditions where there were hundreds of people auditioning for a part, and that at a certain point, everyone who was kind of like in the last round, you kind of had to assume they all had similar talent. We were all able to do the part well. It wasn't like such a dramatic part where it's like you needed a special skill set. But I can think of a few jobs where I really believe the reason I was hired was more because of the chemistry I had with people, the casting directors, people in the room, and kind of who I was as a human and who they got to know me to be. One, for example, I royally messed up, it was royally screwed up. It was for a commercial, but I think the way in which I handled screwing up and the way I laughed it off and the way I was easy about it, I think that showed so much about who I was and what I was like to work with. I really think that was why I got hired. I think I got hired because I screwed up essentially, but because of how I navigated that. And I booked another job. I swear I booked another job because I had the same dog as the casting director, as the director, and we ended up talking about that at that time. And so I'm reflecting that here because I think we forget these pieces here, that we are humans, that are working with other humans, that are serving other humans, and especially as service providers, there is a massive relationship component. There's always relationship in business. There's always relationship in marketing. What do I always say? Like the depth of your connections and relationships is kind of equal to the depth of the money or the ability for you to scale your income. And quite literally, as service providers, we are working based on relationships. I think we forget these other pieces that help us build those relationships and that help us connect to other humans. And the more we can bring that into our content, the more we can help show the values, very much the values in how we think about business, but even some of those nuances, the more you can connect with another person. In fact, I think it's actually really important. Last piece there I'll share that comes up. The first coaching program I took, which this was the first investment I made in my business. This was 7.5 years ago, because I took a year-long program before starting my business. And it was a 5-figure investment, which at that time was the most I didn't even know I was gonna have a business. One of the reasons I chose the program I did, as opposed to some other programs that honestly probably had better qualifications and more like testimonials and all of that thing, was I felt really connected to the person teaching it. She was an ex-actress, and there were some personal stories she had shared that I felt really connected in. So I just felt like I would be a good fit there, and I felt like that would be the right container, and I would be supported and heard and understood in a different way. And honestly, that's probably why I chose that container over all of the practical things, all of the value-based in terms of like expertise and what the program was going to teach me. So I think these are things we want to remember, especially if we're looking at how do we have someone say, hey, I don't want to just hire any OBM. I don't want to just hire any designer. I don't want to just hire any coach. I want to hire you, and let me tell you why I want to hire you. These are some of the things we can start to think about bringing into our content. And the last piece here with your content, this is the last strategic piece that I really invite you to play with, is it's kind of the other side to this. If we're talking about this chemistry piece here, if we're talking about this relationship piece here, if we're talking about, yes, how great is it when someone sells you on you, but seeing part of that is the chemistry, part of that is seeing that your values are aligned, part of that is also remembering that you get to choose great fit clients, and great fit meaning they're a great fit for the program you have, that they have the problem or challenge, or they have the desire that your program or your work will deliver, will solve, will address, that they're a great fit in that way, but they're also a great fit in terms of that chemistry working together. The level 10 fit clients, that's what I call it. In terms of like a 1 fit would not be such a great fit chemistry wise. A 10 fit is just like they're such a great fit. I think we forget we can also teach people who that person is and speak to that in our content. And so this is the same thing, this client who always has people get on the phone selling her on her as an OBM, we've talked about this before, and she does a really great job of also really speaking to the values and qualities she wants in a client in her content. And I think this is something everyone here, you can start to think about, what makes a level 10 fit client for you? What is someone where it's like, this is someone I just can't wait to support. This is someone I just can't wait to serve. This is someone who's such a great fit, where I can care so much without caretaking, right? Who is that person? And it's not just someone who's going to take my money, right? It's not just someone who's going to flatter you. It's not just someone who's like, those are, yes, that's really nice, but usually there are some nuances there. There are some qualities we think about in terms of what makes someone a really great fit for your program, but also a really great fit as a human for you to work with. And I think the more you can articulate that for yourself, first and foremost, the easier time you're going to have on a sales conversation. Because I think we forget with sales, it is a two-way conversation where you're both seeing if this is a fit. I think so often we forget that you also have to see if it's a fit. And I promise you that will bring more integrity to your sales process and also allow you to work with clients who are a better fit. Right, so I think we forget about that part. I did a whole live stream on that, which I can see if I can find a link to, or if someone wants to grab that. And I think, what was the other piece I was going to say here? Oh, and I think we forget that with that, we can also really start to get clear on and think about who is this person and how can we teach them on the out front? How can we start to bring into our marketing and call in who this person is? And what I see happen a lot is in a lot of spaces, I see more who's not a fit, right? It's sort of the sales pages it's like, this is not for you if, and look, that can be valuable. I think I've had that on my website at some point, this is not for you if, but if we're saying this is not for you if, we're really only teaching people who this isn't for. And what I want to invite you to think about, if you want to bring in those people who are like, that we should do this. I am ready. I already know I'm a yes. Like, this is just the practical formality to have this call. People like to know that they're a fit. People don't want to do that if they think they're going to be rejected. People do that because they already know and are clear themselves that they're a great fit. If we use a dating example, right? You're not going to date someone and be like, let's just do this. Let's just do this exclusively. Like, I'm just ready to do this. If you don't kind of have an indication that it's a reciprocal thing, right? I mean, I think we can all kind of agree that's true. That's definitely true in sales. Right, so if we're not playing it too cool, that's part of it. But if you can also start to teach people, hey, this is who is a great fit for me. These are the qualities I'm looking for in a client. These are the things that I really value in a client. These are the types of people who get the best results from my programs. These are the type of people that I love to work with. If you start to infuse that into your content, you start to teach people, instead of having a red velvet rope where it's like only like, this is not for you where we just try to keep people out. What you do instead is you open up the gates for all of the people who are a great fit, who can tell you why they want to hire you. Does that distinction make difference? Or does that distinction make difference? Does that distinction make sense? Because I think, again, nothing wrong with saying who you're not for, but I think we want to keep shifting it to who are you for, and then what are those specific values? What are those specific qualities? What is it about someone who gets the best results from your work or that you love to work with? And how can you speak that over and over again? I know I share a lot about how I really love working with clients who take personal responsibility. I've talked about, I really love working with clients who aren't looking for someone to just hand them a checklist and just a list of things to do, right? Like, there's different qualities I will speak to. I really love working with clients who are coachable. I'm not an easy coach. I think I'm a great coach, but I'm not the easiest coach to work with. And in the best way possible. I mean, I think that's a great thing. I think if I was an easy coach, I would be doing my clients a disservice. But that means I really want to work with clients who are ready to actually be coached, who aren't looking for a consultant, there's nothing wrong with being a consultant, but who aren't looking for a consultant or a done-for-you formula, who actually want to be coached, which means I'm probably going to ask you some hard questions. It's probably going to be uncomfortable sometimes. There are times you're probably going to want to throw things at me because I know that's what's going to help you go to the next level, right? But I want to speak to these things. I want to speak to these things over and over again. I want to speak to how I really want clients who want to take back their power, take back their personal responsibility, because then if you're hearing that, you're like, why would I want to give you thousands of dollars so that I can have a hard coaching session? Why would I want to give you thousands of dollars so that you're going to make me figure this out with you, as opposed to just giving me a done for you checklist? If you're hearing that, that's great. Then you know you're not a fit for my work. I don't have to say this isn't for you if you're looking for, I'm saying it right now as an example, but I don't have to spell out then this isn't for you if you're looking for someone who's going to give you a checklist of things to do and a formula to follow. If you want someone who's just going to like blaze a trail ahead of you, right? That is implied when I'm saying, this is the way I work. These are my values. This is what I believe. This is my thought process about coaching. These are the people I work best with. If you're looking for the other, you just know already that's not for you. And then if you're someone who's like, that is exactly what I'm looking for. I am just so ready to actually be in a coaching relationship. I'm so ready to take my power back. I'm so ready to stop feeling wrong. I'm so ready to get out of my own way. I'm so ready to build this business my way and to have someone support me to get clear on that. I'm so ready to have someone sit with me in the hard conversations and in the muck and to support me and to like actually transform my stuff, right? If you're hearing that and you're like, oh, then this is the right place for me. This is the person I want to work with. This could really be a fit. And you can see how then, if you're speaking to those qualities, you're also speaking to the power of your work. You're also speaking to the power of whatever it is you deliver. And the people who are a right fit, that's how you create people who get on the phone. They're like, I already know. Like, here are all the things about you. Like, these are all the things about your offer. This is why I know you're the person I want to hire. And you don't have to spend any time talking about the things that you don't want in a client or the things you don't need if you spend some time speaking to the things you really value in your people. So I think that's just another place to play with. So those are three. Sarah says people have to be able to and in a place to have those hard conversations. Abso-freaking-lutely. I give so much credit to my clients. I think being willing to be coached, to be truly coached and show up for those conversations. And I mean, I'm never going to push someone or pull someone further than they want to go, but I think it's so brave. And I really do think we have to be in a place where we're ready for them. We're ready to change and we're ready to show up for that. And I think being willing to be coached is a very brave thing. And I give everyone so much credit. I also get coached by a coach who is a really tough coach, a brilliant coach. I love her, I adore her, but she is tough and she makes me squirm sometimes. And so I can also really appreciate what my clients go through being on the other side of that. I think it is the best gift I've ever given myself. And I also know, it's sometimes you're like, okay, buckle up, like, here we go. So yes, so co-sign that, Sarah. I agree with that. And to bring it back to what we're talking about here, you can see how, as whatever everyone here sells, whatever it is that you're selling, if you're selling design, if you're selling OBM services, if you're selling PA services, if you're selling legal services, whatever that is you're selling, it doesn't have to be coaching. You don't have to have hard conversations with people. And not all of my conversations are hard. Sometimes they're, lovely and light as well. I don't want to make it sound like we're like all like having tough conversations all the time. It's more being willing to. But whatever it is you sell, you can see here in terms of how do you create that marketing and sales process that attracts those right fit clients to you who are telling you why you're the person they want to hire, not just like any old, I don't love the term old, that's a weird phrase, isn't it? Not just any lawyer, not just any designer, not just any OBM to check that off the checklist, but you specifically. We can see how these three components, if you start to weave them into your content, really help to teach people why you. And so again, just to recap there, it's absolutely that value-driven content in terms of what's the value you can provide that really helps people to, yes, get a win, to get a takeaway, to get a result without ever paying you a dime. That's something my coach has taught me really well, and it's just the way she phrases it. But how can you share something that people really get to understand that? But if you have, maybe you are an OBM, or maybe that doesn't make necessarily sense for your clients, seeing value can come in different ways. And the value-driven content, again, you deliver can also be helping people understand about you, your work, your expertise, but then not letting it stop there and seeing the other two pieces are how can you infuse your personal values, your thought about your work, your thought process behind it. How can you teach people that, what you want them to know about you and what you bring to the table and who you are as a person, to connect through that. And then also, how can you teach people who your people are and what you really value, what makes the best client for you, who are you excited to work with, who gets the best results, who are you like, yes, let's do this together. When you can bring that into your content, you can see how it's going to create such a different relationship and start to attract people who are like, you are the person I want to hire, especially if you then infuse that with giving a fuck and caring and really making an effort to also teach people that you care and let them know that, and to show that through your actions. I think sometimes we forget that we can teach people what we want them to know also through our actions, right? I can say I care, but if I'm not backing that up with the way I'm showing up, with the actions I'm taking, it doesn't matter what words I say. So I think that's just something we can all remember as well, right? We can say we care about our audience, but are we showing up for our audience regularly? We can say we care about giving value without expecting something in return, but are we showing up and doing that? So I think those are just things to play with there. The last thing here that I was going to close on, but if anyone has a question, throw them at me. But last quick piece here, just in terms of some of the mindset piece around this. What I will say, when I was thinking about some of the recent conversations I've had with clients, where it's just been very humbling. Cat's out of the bag. I cry about everything, but I cried at my desk a little bit just in like gratitude for some recent calls I've had with people. And when I was thinking back around some of the things that were reflected to me, I think part of the reason it was particularly humbling and moving for me is many of the things that were reflected to me are things I have verbatim been journaling and writing into being probably for years. And so I reflect that here because I think we forget, yes, all of the strategy I just talked about I think is really valuable. But I think sometimes we forget that oftentimes for a strategy to work for us and for us to create a certain result, we first have to make that decision that that's something we want to cultivate and start to intentionally put that into our minds. And then that is what influences our actions, and that is what influences the way we're showing up in those actions and the results we get. And so from the mindset perspective, just very transparently, I like literally write affirmations such as, I attract clients who tell me why they want to work with me. I attract clients who want to work with me specifically. I attract people who get on the phone with me and tell me they're ready to pay me and they can't wait to work with me and I'm the coach for them, right? These are things I and you know, some of my affirmations and journaling, I'll write this as a written visualization. I will visualize getting on the phone with someone, having them tell me this. And so I reflect that to you because I think we forget the power of our own mind sometimes. And I know this can sound so woo, but it really is how your brain is wired and how it works. And you can decide what it is you want and start to program this into your mind. And the more you're programming this into your mind, the more you're also going to lean into the strategic action that backs that up from a different energy, right? We talk so much about it's not just the action you take, but the energy and the intention from which you take that action that makes the difference in the result. And so when you're coupling this together, when you decide, I want to have calls with people, I decide I'm the kind of person who has calls with people where they get on the phone and tell me they're already ready, they're already bought, they are sold, they can't wait to hire me. This is just a formality. They think my rates are such a great deal and they can't believe I don't charge more, and it's a no-brainer. And they want to tell me all the reasons why I'm the person they want to hire, right? If that's what you want, spend some time first also cultivating this mindset that that's possible for you, that that is true for you. Write that into existence, visualize that into existence, and then back that visualization up, back that mindset up with the practical strategy to create that as truth. But it's when you marry those two together that I think it can make a really big difference. And I find so often what happens for us in the online space is we do one or the other, right? We're really either lopsided on the mindset side where it's like, we're just visualizing this, but we forget to back that visualization and that decision and that mindset rewiring up with the practical strategy and action. Or we hear something about, go put out some value, talk about the types of clients you want to work with. And we just do that, but we forget the mindset piece behind it. And so the energy that we're taking that from, it's kind of full circle we're talking about at the beginning of the live stream, might be coming from this place of like, I hope this will work. I hope this will be true. That chick on that live stream said this will get clients coming through the door who tell me and sell me on me. But like, I hope so, because like, I don't know if people should pay me. I don't know if the service is good enough. I don't know if I can actually help someone. I don't know if I'm charging too much, right? If that's the mindset we're taking that action with, it's going to be really tough to have that action create the result you want, but not because the strategy is wrong, not because the strategy is bad, not because you're taking action in the wrong way, not because you're doing anything wrong, but the energy, the mindset driving it, right, is going to come from a very different place. Most likely that'll change the kind of content you share anyway, but then even if you have that conversation, there's going to be a different embodiment, there's going to be a different way you show up. And so I think just see, we really want both pieces there. So on the mindset side, decide what you want to be true there, and allow yourself to rewire, to do the mindset work to allow that to be your truth. I would also say, look at, if you want people to be sold on you, right? How can you be bought in on yourself? You don't have to have all the confidence in the world, kind of what we're talking about at the beginning of the live stream, but just seeing that as the mindset piece, and then seeing how can you marry that? How can you back that mindset up with strategy and action? And when you have those together, that is where the magic happens in business, whatever it is you're trying to create. If you want clients to tell you why they want to hire you, or if you want to have an epic launch where you have to go out and do some selling, either way, it's when you combine that clarity, that mindset, that strategy, that action, that is where your results come from. Last note I will share here before we close out. As a reminder, we talked about this at the beginning of the live stream, but I do want to close on this. We're talking all about how to get people through the door who are sold on you, who are telling you and selling you on why they should hire you. And that is a beautiful thing. And I think that's a beautiful mindset again to cultivate. And I want to keep reminding everyone as that closing thought that it's also okay to sell people on why you. It's also okay if people come onto the phone and they don't know that, and you do have to walk them through a sticky sales conversation, or they're not clear on why you're the right fit, right? I think just seeing this is a wonderful one part of a sales process, but it's also okay if you also have to go and market and sell. This is not about how can you be the coolest cat in town and just like expect people to come to you. It's seeing how can you cultivate those relationships and a sales process that allows for that, while also being the type of salesperson, business owner, who also goes out there and creates clients and lets people know why they should hire you. Marie says, I just had 2 ideas. I'm going to post a tip every month on my IG page and also give the person, owner or employer, that I meet a gift, maybe $5 for gas. Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm so for the value there, and the gift part. Gifts are one of my love languages, so I love giving clients gifts, and I think that's love both of those ideas so much, and I love that this sparked those ideas. Let me know, y'all, as we are wrapping this up, if anyone else has a reflection. I love hearing them, or a question. Reminder, if you do leave a comment emoji, you will be entered to win a free copy of my self-study course, Sell Out Without Feeling Like a Sellout. And if any of you want support around this, if you want support around your business from the clarity, mindset, strategy, and action side, if you want to be coached truly coached, if you want someone who's going to keep giving you your power and personal responsibility back and to help you cultivate the mindset that has you sold on yourself and your work and believing in what you do, and also taking action before you're fully confident, and also creating the strategy that works for you to bring in clients who are telling you why they want to hire you and that allows you to build and book that business that really gives a fuck about you. That is what I do. That is who I am. That is the work I do. I tend to be fully booked. We do have some upcoming availabilities. We still have my one-on-one VIP weekend in New York City at Soho House. I will drop a link for that. I'm so excited for those. Those are very, very limited. I'm only doing one of those per month. We do have some coming up that are still available. So if that is something you're wanting to do, I will drop a link. You can book a discovery call for that, and we can get clear on if that's the right fit for you and what weekends are available coming up through the end of the year. And if you're more interested in the more traditional coaching, I have a virtual coaching intensive and a 6-month coaching partnership. Those spots do fill up. Many of my clients do renew and work with me for years, but we do, so I don't always have spots available. We do for sure have a spot in October and a spot in November that I know are opening up. Again, they do tend to book quickly, so I would recommend, if that's something you're like, hey, I don't know about this Kim chick. Maybe this is something I want to do. I don't know if I'm sold on her yet, but I'm still not sure. Book a call, because I promise you fit is super important for me. We can talk through that. If we are a great fit, we can talk about moving forward. If we're not a great fit for whatever reason, if we don't have the coaching chemistry or it's not a fit for the work I do, I work with amazing clients. I know a lot of incredible coaches, so I'm also always happy to refer you out. See if we have any other comments here. I think that is everything. So y'all, I love you. Thank you for hanging with me. I'll be back next week with another live stream. I'm gonna go take my hip hop class now and see, I'll report back and see how well or not well I do on that. So wish me some luck on that.